Well, we have made it to 2022. Isn't life amazing? I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad I'm alive. In fact, this experience of life is one of the common denominators which binds all of humanity together. My name is David Woodall with the United Church of Canada. God is the giver of life. And I'd like to suggest to you that over the next 2 or 3 weeks, we try to see ourselves within the cycles of life. And as we see ourselves within the cycles of life, we can then see ourselves as part of God's wonderful creation. And perhaps we'll find God within our own lives. You know, it's odd, isn't it? That when speaking with people about the changes that go on in our lives, in so many ways, these changes are giant circles that interweave and overlap, and sometimes they take us to new places, but often they bring us back to where we began. We spend our early years as children and teenagers learning to become independent, preparing ourselves to leave home. Often, when we do leave home, we move into rental accommodations, board with someone else, live in an apartment someplace. As we grow older, we then often live in our own homes, places that we own ourselves. And as we grow yet older, we leave those homes and move into rental accommodations, board with someone else, live in an apartment someplace. As we grow yet older, as Dr. James Dobson puts it, in our lives, we reach the point where the mother becomes the daughter and the daughter becomes the mother. The cycles of life. In one sense, they're very inevitable. But in another sense, the inevitability of some of this helps us to put our own lives into some perspective. If we're wise and look closely, we will see God at work in every age of our lives. We will see God at work at every point and in each stage of our lives. And each time we reach one of those points, we'll understand our faith and our spiritual life differently. All life begins at birth. It's also the beginning of a new year. That's why I thought we'd touch base here. Appropriate, isn't it? Parents, mums, and dads, do you remember seeing your children on that very first day? My son, my daughter, you're so tiny and wrinkled, but so wonderful that the two of us in an act of love could bring you into this world. What a miracle. If there ever was a time that nurtures your belief in God, it is at that magic moment when your child is born. When Jesus was born, all hopes and dreams of the world were concentrated in that one baby. That's a little hard for us to contemplate and understand. But it's not hard to understand how all our hopes and dreams are concentrated in the birth of our children. What a world you've come into, my child. It's my world, it's our world, and now it's your world. It can be a wonderful place, but one that can be hard and cruel as well. Soon enough you'll learn of those things. Right now, let me see your tiny little pudgy hands, your eyes all squinched up, sometimes opening and looking around. Do you see me? I'm your dad. I'm your mother. I hope to do so much for you. Provide a safe home, a warm, loving family. I'd like to play with you and go for walks and laugh and joke together. Let me hold you quietly now. Change your diaper if you need it. And see if I can get you to focus your eyes on me and perhaps make you laugh. Though at your age it's probably just gas. God meets each one of us in our lives. At different times in our lives, God is present in different ways. Birth is a time when God seems in a special way to be present. A brand new beginning, a brand new life. What will this child become? Anything he or she wants. There's a whole world of opportunity and life out there. What a wonderful privilege as parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts and friends we have to be able to provide an environment for this child to grow up in. We become who we are through our inherited traits and talents and through the environment we grow up in. Two genetically identical children placed in different environments will grow up to be different people. We create the environment. What a wonderful opportunity. What an awesome responsibility. The soul of a child is the loveliest flower that grows in the garden of God. Its climb is from weakness to knowledge and power, to the sky, from the clay to the clod. To beauty and sweetness it grows under care, neglected it's ragged and wild. 'Tis a plant that is tender but wondrously wear, the sweet, wistful soul of a child. Be tender, O gardener, and give it its share of moisture, of warmth, and of light, and let it not lack for the painstaking care to protect it from frost and from blight. A glad day will come when its bloom shall unfold. It will seem that an angel has smiled, reflecting a beauty and sweetness untold in the sensitive soul of a child. That's a cute little poem, isn't it? Children in their early years can only conceive of things in black and white terms. Things are either there or they're not there. If you pass an object in front of a child, it will focus on it until it's out of sight. But once it's out of sight, for all intents and purposes, that object does not exist for that child. A rule in a child's game must be absolutely obeyed. Only when they become older can they see that each rule has its own gray area. So a child, when they first attempt to understand about God, cannot conceive of a God they cannot see. As a result, they understand God in terms of what they can see. And their very first understanding of God is directly related to their parents. For the very young child, God really is their father and their mother. In other words, how mom or dad treats their child is how the child perceives that God treats them. For this reason, it's so important as parents to love your children, to hug them, to play with them. It gives them not only a personal sense of security, but also helps them to build a faith base grounded in a sense of love and trust and hugs. You know, it's a fallacy that we sometimes allow to be stated unchallenged, that there are people of faith and people who do not have faith. This is not true. To be spiritual is built into the very fiber of our being. Even those who profess no faith hold many of the same spiritual values that we all hold. Sometimes the phrase "there is no God" is a religious phrase denoting a whole belief system. We say there is God. God, the personification of this universal spiritual connection. God who is loving and caring, the protector of children, who nurtures and feeds all of us. This spiritual connection between all of us, that's what I'd like my children to know and to love. And they learn it first from the care and the loving and the nurturing that we give them as their father or their mother. After a while, of course, children realize that their parents are not God. And so they begin to think that the faith leader, minister, imam, priest, pastor, must be God. Now, I have to tell you, that's a scary thought. How that leader interacts with the children becomes important. Do they talk on eye level? Do they kneel down to play? Do they play? Do they recognize you as you pass each other on the street or at school or in the playground? I know I told some of you this story before, but many years ago I had an operation on my knee. I wore a brace into church one Sunday. Afterwards, a child, probably 2 or 3 years old at the time, when they arrived home, asked her mother, what was wrong with God's knee? Birth, the cycles of life, a brand new year. So many old things, but yet brand new. A wonderful year lies ahead, but one that can be hard and cruel as well. This year is not so very old, like a little child opening its eyes and looking around. What does lie ahead in this year of 2022? I hope to do so much this year. Provide a safe home, foster a warm and loving family life, joke around with my children even though they're older, hold someone's hand as they face the crises that will come to all of us. I hope to laugh and cry, watch a beautiful sunset, help a young person or an older person walk a little more confidently into whatever their futures hold. Right now, though, I'll just look ahead and dream of all it might be, and pray that life will not destroy the dreams that we hold. Beginnings, whether it's the birth of a child or the beginning of a new year, occur deliberately. Christ is found wherever new beginnings occur. Our faith is always one of new beginnings. God is the Creator. God is the one who welcomes us to pick ourselves up out of the dust. God is the one who began life on a swirling hunk of molten lava spinning in a perpetual night. And then a man and a woman appeared, merging into life with all of its joy and its struggle and its pain. The people, the Israelites, chosen by God and then formed into a nation, and out of that nation the promise of a Messiah, of a whole world which knows God. A manger, and in that manger, the birth of our modern world. Yet at that time, there was only a baby crying in the night. Jesus. Our faith is a faith of beginnings. Birth is a time when God seems in a special way to be present. A brand new beginning, a brand new life, a brand new year. What will this child become? What will this year become? Anything. Here she wants. Perhaps it's a time for each one of us to start again, to let the past be the past, to nurture this child which is the coming year, to nurture the children God has entrusted to our care, to nurture the child within each one of us. Leave behind the dreams that are shattered, the bridges burned, the hurts that we have caused. It's a new year. It's time to start again. God bless us all.